Hi there. I'm Michelle Greenwell, and I am the president of the Canadian Association of Bioenergetic Wellness and part of the leadership team. I'm really excited because we started a program in the July, August of 2020 timeframe, which ran through the fall, which was videos for the public to try to share some of the tools and techniques that we use in bioenergetic wellness. And we haven't dove into how we use muscle monitoring, how we bring in bioenergetic feedback, but we certainly have been sharing a lot of fantastic energy tools for you to help you navigate some of the challenges of 2020 and of course where you're heading in 2021. I am excited today because we have Yolande Kielstra to share an absolutely fantastic tool with you. I really enjoyed this opportunity to film with her and to also ask her some questions at the end. Typically, when we do a webinar, we have the opportunity for people to be involved in asking questions at the end. But this time it didn't quite work out scheduling wise, so we recorded everything. And so what you're going to see is what Yolande wanted to share with you. It's titled Seniors and Immunity because that was our theme for December. And as we've gone into 2021, wellness is your choice is our theme for the entire year. And we are making changes, adding programming, sharing opportunities with you like never before. So I invite you to enjoy the video that Yolande is going to share with you and adopt the tools that she's going to share because they do help boost your immune system. They are valuable for seniors, but they're valuable for anyone who would like to use the tools because I've used them for a long time. And she's got some great techniques that she's added to them. But also consider something. The Canadian Association of Bioenergetic Wellness is a group of people who have trained really hard in finding alternative ways to assist people in achieving the wellness and the goals that they desire for a healthy lifestyle. And we work hard within the organization as members, volunteering our time to bring forward the tools and to help share courses, events. We have a summit coming up this spring, which is going to bring some incredible expertise forward. And we need your assistance too. We need you to be there to support the programs that are launched and to be involved in them, but also to support just what's happening within the organization. It's a special group. We have learned so much from each other and we've grown in ways we never imagined. We'd love for you to be a part of that. You could come and join us as a supporter. It's just $25 for the year to be a supporter for CanBeWell, and that will go a long way for helping you receive our newsletter and to be involved in some of the activities that you'd be able to get discounts at. We would be even more excited if you would join us as an introductory member and then consider taking a course, maybe in Touch for Health, Natural Bioenergetics, Brain Gym, Therapeutic Touch. We just have so many opportunities. That's just the start of the list that's available. And an introductory membership will get you a little bit more. And if you were involved with us as a full member, there's just so much more that could be shared. And if you're working in this profession, in the bioenergetic wellness community, you're doing muscle monitoring, and you are using bioenergetic feedback to help supply information about how your body is balanced and well, then we invite you to join us because we love to have more people to have conversations with. And we're looking forward to expanding those in 2021. We have a huge themed planner that is all set for the year. And we've got webinars, we have community chats where we get together and just share some of our ideas or ask for assistance. We have, like I said, the summit, but we also have some guest speakers coming in and they're going to be sharing some incredible expertise. And so I look forward to that as well. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy, Yolande, and I hope those techniques are something that you can use. We have more videos coming. The next webinar is on mental health and how to put you first, and that's coming up on January 15th. Thanks so much for being here. Take care.
Hi, I'm Yolande Kielstra. I'm with the CanBeWell board, and thank you for having me. I'm going to be talking about seniors and immunity. So I'm going to start right away and share my screen with the PowerPoint. So just give me a second here. Okay, there we go. I think you should be able to see it now. I apologize. So we're going to be talking about the lymphatic system and the neurolymphatics. So the lymphatic system consists of the lymph vessels, and lymph nodes. Lymph comes from the interstitial fluid, which is derived from your blood. Plasma found in the spaces in between the tissues of your body. Actually, the lymph, you kind of, if you lightly stroke up your arm, you can sometimes see the lymph moving. The interstitial fluid dissolves gas, waste products of metabolism, and water. It also carries the proteins and hormones and fats to all your cells in your body. It acts as the body's sewage system. So when it's starting to back up, this is where you start to see some issues, just like you do in your house. The lymph system maintains the fluid balance in your body, so this helps with your electrolyte balance. It does not have its own pump, and so we actually have to help it pump. It only flows in one direction. There are twice as many lymph vessels than there are blood vessels. This is why lymph system is so important. It helps defend the body from infection through the white blood cells, which are lymphocytes, and that it contains your T cells and B cells. So sometimes you hear about your fighter cells or killer cells, and they call them the B cells. These fight disease. So neurolymphatics, which is something that we learn in Touch for Health, was discovered by Dr. Frank Chapman. They're also called the Chapman reflexes, if you ever Google them. He was an osteopath in the 1930s that linked the neurolymphatic tender spots on the body to the corresponding organs and glands. And so if you're looking at the picture here, you can I'm just going to use it here. So you can see that the top neurolymphatics are relating to the brain. You see the sinus, and then also liver. Here you see parathyroid, small intestine down here. So when we're rubbing those neurolymphatics, we're actually stimulating those organs or glands. They also have it that they deal with certain symptoms. So sometimes when you're dealing with sinusitis, you can also rub the neurolymphatics here to help deal with the sinus congestion. So Dr. Goodhart of AK said that neurolymphatics are like switches, which turn off when the lymphatic system is overloaded. So the neurolymphatic spots are not necessarily located on the lymph system, but act as reflexes to stimulate the lymph system. So you know when you knock a hammer against your knee, the knee will kick out. So we think of it the same way, that it's kind of like a reflex that helps stimulate an action. So the effect of massaging the neurolymphatics is experienced as an energy boost. And so we're actually going to be able to experience that today. And the neurolymphatics correspond to the muscle organs on the front and the back of the body. So we will be stimulating both front and back. So what we're going to be doing is applying firm, deep massage pressure with the fingertips on the neurolymphatics for about 20 to 30 seconds. So just to give you a word of warning, the spot may be tender, so you might want to go a little bit lighter at first and then be able to go deeper as time goes on. So what I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen, and if you take a quick peek, I'll let you kind of look at it real quick. And we're going to be going through these through what we call a meridian cycle. So we're going to be starting with the central governing meridians, and then we're going to go through to the heart, and then through the meridian cycle, and then come back again to the central and governing, okay? So some of these will repeat because some of the neurolymphatic spots are the same for one meridian compared to the other. So we're going to get started with the central meridian here. So on the front of the body, they're at the armpit crease. So right here, so we can kind of stimulate. We can kind of go in a little bit deep because we want to rub that spot. Okay, so we're just going to do, I might go a little bit quicker than the time of 30 seconds. And then we're going to want to do them on both sides, so bilateral on the body. Some of the neurolymphatic spots are not bilateral, so just in case some of the spots are on one side, and I think this video might be maybe flipped a bit for you, I will tell you which side of the body to be rubbing on, just so that you're maybe not mirroring me on the wrong side. So then the back side of the body for the central meridian is underneath the occiput bone. So if you kind of go down your skull and then you find the bottom of the bone there, and you're kind of going on either sides of the spine, and we're just going to rub those points. So you might have a sigh or a deep breath, and that is just, we kind of consider those a bit of a release. Okay, so then the governing meridian ones, they're bilateral. They're in between rib 2 and 3. So if we find our collarbone and then go down, and we're going to be about 6 centimeters on either side of the sternum, the bone that runs down the center here, okay? And we're just going to rub those, and they might be a little bit tender. And you kind of sometimes will even feel a bit of a dip there where you're rubbing. Okay, then on the back of the body, we're going to be, it is in between thoracic vertebrae 2 and 3. And so they're on either side of the spine again. So if you find the knob in the back of your neck there, that's T1. Okay, so you're going to move just a little bit further down and just rub on either sides of the spine there so that you're between 2 and 3. Then we're going to start in the meridian wheel. So we're going to start at the top of the meridian, which is heart meridian. And that one has it that it is bilateral spots in between rib 2 and 3. But this time we're actually going to be closer to on either side of the sternum. Okay, so you go from the collarbone and we drop down. And you'll kind of feel it in the space there. And then we're going to go to the back of the body, and we're again actually on the same spots that we were for the governing meridian. We're again on between thoracic vertebrae 2 and 3 on both sides of the spine. So then we're going to move to the small intestine. And this is on, I'm just going to see if I can up just a little bit here. So we're going to go under the rib cage here. So you're going to find your rib cage and then start to kind of scoot a bit underneath here. Okay, and you're going to just rub on the inside of this, along the edge of the rib cage. Okay, and then the back of the body has it. I'm going to see if I can turn around here. We're going to take our four fingers. We're going to kind of reach at the back of the body here and kind of place them along either side of the spine. So you want to get to T8, T9, T10, T11, and near the end of the spine. So I'm hoping that by me turning around there, you can kind of see it. And so if you have someone help you, they can kind of help press these. So there are basically 4 spots bilateral on each side of the spine that you want to be rubbing. So you can kind of, just to help with a little bit more of a landmark, if you're kind of rubbing, holding underneath your rib cage here, and then bringing the fingers around, this finger will actually be near the bottom, if that makes sense. And that should be close to the T12 because that's close to the bottom of your rib cage. So then the bladder meridian. This one is actually the upper edge of the pubic bone. So you're going to find your pubic bone. You can use your hand like this instead of fingers. That might be more comfortable. And you can just rub back and forth on the pubic bone. Okay, then the back points of the bladder are at L2, and they're about 2 to 3 centimeters off the spine. So again, you're kind of going to feel along the back of your body. Here's your bottom of your rib cage, so that would be about where your T12 is, and so L2 will be a couple 2 vertebrae down, and then you're just going to go a little bit farther out from the spine and rub on those ones. So again, we're rubbing about 10 to 30 seconds. Sometimes you'll feel a release, sometimes they'll be a little bit tender. Then the kidney ones, so I'm going to find my belly button. I'm going to go about an inch up from my belly button here, and then I'm going to go about an inch on either side. And I'm going, oh, that one. I found one. They're on either side here. Okay, and then the back ones are bilateral by T12 and L1. So where we kind of were for the bladder, but we're just going to go about up 1. So if you kind of landmark again with your ribs, and then bring your fingers around, right, kind of at the spot there. Okay, so we're going to go to circulation. So this is the upper edge of the pubic bone. So we're going to go back again. We're going to landmark where our pubic bone is. We're going to use the edge of our hand again to, because the fingertips might not feel so comfortable. And so we're going to use so with bladder, you're actually more towards the outside, and the circulation ones are towards the inside. But when you're using the hand, you can stimulate them both, or you can catch both of them. Okay, and then on the back, if you can kind of think of where the dimples are, right? We call these the L5 knobs. So they're in line with your L5 vertebrae, and they're kind of like the dimples that kind of like dips in the back of your hips here. And so we're using those. So basically they're in between L5 vertebrae and your posterior, your PSIS, so which are on the hip bones here. So they're in the middle of those two. So that was, then we're going to go to triple warmer. And these are on either side of the sternum here, in between 2 and 3 ribs, and then also 3 and 4. And this one, a little bit more tender. Okay, and then on the back, we're back up near the top of the spine again. So we're going to find that knob, which is our T1, and we're looking for the next vertebrae down at T2 and T3, and on either side of the spine. So just a little bit wider out, about 2 to 3 centimeters. Okay, so we're on to the gallbladder. So when we find our collarbone and we do one down, this is in between vertebrae 2 and 3. Then we want to move down to the next point, and this is 3 and 4. We rubbed these when we were doing triple warmer, but we're going to rub these ones and the one below them for gallbladder. So depending on your rib cage, like my sternum is down through here, you might be a little bit closer or a little bit further apart depending on how wide your sternum is. But you're looking for that dip in between. So you're in the, what we call the intercostals, so in between the ribs, that's what you're rubbing, not on the ribs. Then we're going to drop down and we're going to go to between rib 4 and 5. My right side is a little bit more tender. Okay, and then we're going to be going to the thoracic vertebrae again. So we're going to find our knob, which is T1, and we're going to go T2, T3. We're going to stop at T3, go just a little bit lower, so you're in between T3 and T4 on either side of the spine. And now we're going to remove just a little bit more further down and go in between T4 and 5. So if you are not able to get to these, you could possibly use like a little ball along the floor that you could get these, or you could just have somebody give you back this, rubbing those points. It's such a great, we sometimes even call it a spinal flush when they rub along all the neurolymphatics along the spine. So on the liver, we're actually only going to be on the right side. So this is my right side. So I'm going to get you to find your right side. So we're going to find along the rib edge here. And we're going to be looking between rib 3 or 5 and 6. So what you can do is use your thumb and press kind of where the ribs meet, where your xiphoid is, and use kind of like an L, right, for liver, and find it on the right-hand side. And it's just along the edge of the rib cage. And yes, it's there. So the back ones are also on the right side only, and this is in between T5 and 6. So it'll be kind of a little bit higher up. I may have to take my arm and bend it up here. And we're going to be closer to the shoulder blades. You're just going to go in close to the spine again. So you're in between T5 and 6 as well. Okay, we're going to go to lung. So the lung ones are on the front of the body between ribs 3 and 4. So we're going to go back to those ones. We'll do them a little quicker, maybe a little bit, since you kind of rubbed them a bit last time. And then also 4 and 5. This one still needs a little bit more work. Okay, and then at the back of the body, we're going to go again to our T3 and 4. So find the landmark of the T1 and go down to vertebrae, thoracic vertebrae number 3 and 4. And we're going to rub on either sides of those. And then down to 4 and 5. So with large intestine, we're going to be rubbing along. I'm just going to zip up there, along the edge of your thigh. So if you kind of find the point on your hip here, you're going to be rubbing all the way down to your knee, actually. I'm going to bring it here. So you're going to be rubbing along the thigh, back and forth. You can actually go to about 2.5 centimeters, about 1 inch below the knee as well, because it can connect in there as well. This is a great one to do if you're, I will use it if there's any constipation issues with someone, that it can help stimulate that large intestine movement. Okay, then since I'm standing already, we're going to go to the triangular area on the back here to here. Okay, and you're going to just press your hands into there and rub that triangle area. And this is from basically L2 down to L4 and then out to the hip bones. Okay, so now we're going to stimulate the stomach neurolymphatics, and this is only on the left side. If you think of kind of underneath what we would call the breast area for both men and women, and we're going to rub along that area, kind of like where you think the tissue kind of meets the rib cage from the breast. This is great to do as well if you wear a bra and you have it that it kind of feels a little bit achy. You know, you can do this also at night and help release, because sometimes, especially for women, if they have larger breasts, there's a kind of a lot of tension, a lot of pressure on that kind of goes into this area, and it can get congested. So at night, you can do this to kind of help stimulate that neurolymphatic area that might have gotten congested. Okay, and then at the back of the body, we're going to go down to T5 and T6, and they're on either side of the spine. So in this case, it's bilateral as well. Okay, so now we're going to do the spleen, and the spleen is on the left side of the body as well. And we're going to find that point. So we can kind of use that L, but we're going to drop it down. So instead of 5 and 6, we're going to be down in 7 and 8 along the cartilage there. And now we're going to see if we can reach down all the way to T7 and 8. So depending on how your reach is, you can reach around the back or all the way down here. I think I can get it. And we're going to, since we finished the meridian cycle, now we're going to go back to the central and governing ones to finish off it completely. So we're going to go again back to the armpit crease. Underneath this occipital bone at the back of your head here. So find the bone, you can kind of feel when it, at the edge of it where it's not moving. So these are the central ones. We're going to go back to the governing ones. So we're going to find right underneath the clavicle bone here on either side of the sternum, in between ribs 2 and 3 again. Oops, sorry, we're supposed to be out 6 inches. I just like those neurolymphatics. They're also called K27 points, these ones here. And if you have it that you're dealing with a cold or flu or anything like this, this also helps stimulate your immunity points as well. So let's go to the back for the governing points at T2 and T3, in between T2 and T3. So you just need to find the landmark of the T1, which is the knob, and then just drop down just slightly on either sides of the spine. And now you're done. So this is the neurolymphatic meridian wheel cycle balance. You could have started any of those meridian points for a time of day. So if you're ever having it that you feel sluggish in the day, you could rub the points related to that time of day and kind of have an energy pickup. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so you can kind of see here some of the ones that we've been rubbing. Here were the ones that were my K27 points as well. And so you can see here the muscles that they reference too. So what we did was we did the muscles that reference also to the meridian. And so that's where you'll see. So I'll just kind of go back to the previous slide. And here you can see where they actually relate to, say, the bladder meridian that relates to that point. So the next slide, I'm going to be talking about moving the lymphatic fluid because it doesn't have its own pump. So it's very important for us to help stimulate the movement of the lymphatic. So we can drink water because we need to have proper fluid balance in our body. And a lot of times we're dehydrated, and this can affect how well the lymphatics work. Breathing is important as well. We know how much breathing helps with just relaxation, but also being able to oxygenate our blood and be able to let off the carbon dioxide because that is a toxin in our body. So dry brushing, and I'm going to actually show that to you, is one way of being able to stimulate the lymph fluid. So you can kind of see here, when I had the earlier slide, there's lymph nodes or pockets in certain areas of the body. So especially around the neck, the armpit, in the center of the body here, and the groin, and then also at the back here, and then knees as well. So when we're moving the lymphatic fluid, we want to move them to these lymph nodules or pockets in the body. So we can also do this with walking and exercise, doing even a modified jumping jack, so moving, say, one side of the body instead of doing a full action. Okay, making sure that we're doing de-stressing activities. So whether we're, you know, reading, meditating, going for walks can also be de-stressing, and then making sure that we're also eating a healthy diet, using food to help fuel the body and also help clean it out. So another thing is also that you can go for this to someone who's trained in it, which is a lymphatic drainage massage. And this can help someone who is experience edema, and it also can help with increased joint mobility, which is sometimes a concern with as we age. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and I'm just going to go quickly through the dry brushing. So here I have my dry brush. There were a couple examples of dry brushes on the PowerPoint, so they're different. Basically, you can even do this with like some of those grippy gloves from the dollar store, and just using. So you kind of want to be able to use light pressure. So when you're dry brushing, so my lymphatic nodule will be underneath my armpit here. I want to start here and push this towards the lymph. Then once this area is kind of covered, then I want to move farther down, and same thing. So we're doing a very light pressure because we're moving the interstitial fluid. So it's just the fluid that's kind of underneath your skin. So we don't want to press too hard, because if we use anything more than 2 pounds, we can actually collapse that lymphatic vessel, the vessels in your arm. They do come back after about 20 minutes, but you want to make sure that you're not compressing them as you're trying to push the fluid closer to the nodules. Okay, so you'll want to, you know, use it different areas. You know, you can move this into the lymphatics, also into the hips. So in the legs, you would come up into the groin area here. And same on the back. So you would want to use it that you're kind of starting closest to the nodule and then working farther and farther away from the nodule. So it's kind of like you're kind of like in making sure that what's in here, because it doesn't have its own pump, is in. And then this is empty, so then we can push the next into that empty spot, and then the next one into that empty spot. So I'll go back to my PowerPoint. So you can see here on the back of the body that you're moving it into those lymphatics. And then here are a couple different types of brushes. I'm just going to try and see if this will move to the next screen there. So I wanted to say thank you. My own business is Foundational Wellness. I am trained in Touch for Health, but I also am currently going for massage therapy. So I am a student right now, and so I thank you for taking the time to participate with me and watch this video. And I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to open it up to Michelle here in case she has any questions that might have come up during the presentation.
Yolande, that was really great. It was wonderful to feel what everything felt like. I'm going to try to anticipate a couple things people might ask. So one is, what happens if your fingers are not strong enough to rub on those dots? What could you do then?
You could use even larger pressure, or you know, someone else could help you with. You, as an instructor of Touch for Health, may have come across some other methods as well, because I know that this is something that you work with older people. So using knuckles might work. And also, like on the back of the body, you could also be using, say, like a tennis ball, or even something a little bit smaller that would be able to kind of get into those areas. I'm going to actually ask, maybe you yourself know of some other ones as well, because I know you have.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes I'll go to my knuckles if I find maybe my thumb joint doesn't feel quite strong enough today, and then I might move to my knuckles. And on the back side, I know
Denise and Heather with Muscle Tuners International, they use a back scratcher, and they
Okay.
the back scratcher has a little roller on it,
Yeah.
and that's nice too if that's an option for people. And
Yeah.
sometimes recommended a wooden spoon, because at least
Okay.
you have that in the kitchen. So that's
Yeah,
another.
so it's you know, it's real handy if you have someone with you that kind of can help you out, and then you can kind of trade. But we don't always have that. And so, you know, for me, I am able to kind of get to those. Another thing that you can sometimes use, it might be a little bit tricky, but you can use the ball against the wall. And so if you push the ball in there and then kind of hold it, you can kind of use the pressure of your body to kind of work into there. Might be a little bit tricky to kind of, but I mean, one of the bonuses is you might just get a whole lot of other areas than the neurolymphatic rubbed with the ball as well. So,
And that's okay too. Yeah, exactly. What was the other thing? Do you always have to use the same order? So if somebody did the experience, but they can't quite remember all the pieces, can you just kind of go where you remember?
yeah, so you can also do a kind of a top-down system, or you can even have it that it's kind of like, oh, you know, I know these are a little bit tender. I could just use those points. So the neurolymphatics basically stimulate the organ or the gland that it's related to. So that could benefit you at a certain time of day. It could have it that you only want to do some of them. Like, honestly, I've used only sometimes the large intestines one. If I'm going to the washroom and I'm kind of like, you know, this could probably use a little bit of stimulation right now, I'll just use the neurolymphatics. Like, I don't go for the large intestine. I don't go through the whole system. So I just stimulate the ones that sometimes I need to. The bonus of going through the cycle is that you're going with the meridian cycle. But another thing is that you're kind of stimulating that whole body system. So there's benefits to both. And sometimes, but I think sometimes one of the nice things is that your body, when you're having experienced something, will kind of like intuitively kind of go, you know, I remember that point, and I bet you I could use it right now. So sometimes you'll retain information at the appropriate time. So, yeah.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you, Yolande, so much for being a part of the webinar program and for participating. And I wish you luck because you're in class next.
Thank you so much. Bye.